learning from somebody that they look up to, aka this athlete. They're doing it together in school.
Kids can look to these athletes as their friends and mentors, and the things that they have taught them years later. It's like hitting the lottery.
It was totally a relationship. They got to see him all the time, but he was also real life to them.
So it really connects well with the growth mindset and being resilient.
I think it's a really cool thing for the kids to understand that a lot of times if you just ask or if you just put it out there into the world, it can totally happen.
These are lessons that you can tie into every part of their school day, but it's lessons that become ingrained in them as a person.
They want to give you the tools necessary to help your students be the best people that they can become.
What more could you ask for?
That is what culture change looks like.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Emily Cook, and I'm a 3-time Olympian in the sport of freestyle aerial skiing. So that means that prior to my current life working with our amazing athletes at Classroom Champions, I spent my days doing flips on skis. But I am so excited to bring you today one of our incredible Classroom Champions athlete mentors. Her name is Deja Young, and she's here to answer some of your questions. I know we have students from across Texas today, and she's here to tell you about her journey to becoming the athlete she is today. So Deja, welcome. Deja is a Paralympic track and field sensation who won gold in both the 100 and 200 meter races at the Paralympic Games in Rio in 2016. You guys, that means she is the best in the world. She's also brought home 6 Paralympic World Championship medals, 4 gold and 2 silver. And Deja was born with a brachial plexus. Deja, you'll have to explain that to me later, that caused some nerve damage and limited mobility to her shoulder. So today she has demonstrated true perseverance over and over again and has dedicated her life to not just her sport, but to helping others through programs such as Classroom Champions. So Deja, welcome. Thank you so much. I would love to jump in and let's tell all the kids who are watching today where you're calling in from.
So I'm actually calling in from Killeen, Texas, and that's about an hour away from Austin. And I'm a true Texan girl. I was born and raised here, so it feels good to be back home.
Wonderful. So you have the Texas connection with all of our students today. Thank you for being with us. And guys, you can put comments in the comment thread, and we'll say hey to you. I know we have some people watching from Austin today. Welcome, everyone. Deja, can you start out by telling the students just a little bit about your sport and how you got into it?
So I'm a Paralympic track and field athlete, and the Paralympics was created not a long time ago. I guess it'd be a long time ago to you guys, but it's created for athletes who have disabilities. So what that means, I compete with athletes who are amputees or athletes who are missing limbs, athletes who have some sort of disability within their body. And I have a disability as well. So I was, like Emily said, I was injured at birth, and I got stuck in my mom, and they pulled on my head too hard, and they tore all the nerves and muscles in my back and shoulder. And I have limited mobility now in my right arm, but it hasn't stopped me from competing, and I'm very grateful for that. I didn't know anything about the Paralympics until about 2015. I had no idea this whole world existed. And a coach approached my coach when I was in college, and he asked my coach, hey, would Deja be interested in Paralympics? And my coach was like, I need to Google that first before I ask her. And then he waited another 2 weeks before he asked me because he didn't want to offend me. And he finally told me what it was and explained it. And I did my own research, and I was like, oh my God, heck yes. I didn't know there's a whole community of people out there just like me that I can relate to. And it is absolutely amazing. And I'm so happy that this journey has brought me here. 2015, I made my very first world championship team, and it's been a whirlwind from here.
Oh, that's awesome. And we have so many more questions about how you got to the Paralympic Games and what challenges you had getting there. But tell us a little bit more, since we have students. What other sports did you do when you were younger? Did you always want to run track and field? What else did you do when you were growing up?
I actually did not like running. It was kind of the last thing I wanted to do. So what I ended up doing, I played volleyball and softball. Those were my 2 main sports. So when I got to high school, I wanted to be a college athlete. I wanted to go to school for free because I didn't want my parents to have to pay for my school. So that's a dream. So I started doing my research, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of too short to be a volleyball player in Texas. I'm 5'6". The shortest person on the UT volleyball team is like 5'8". So I was like, okay, I'm not going to make the cut in that. And then getting a full ride scholarship in softball is doable. It can happen, but I kind of started late in the game. So I was like, okay, I probably won't get recruited or start out with a full scholarship. I'd probably get a half. And I was like, I don't want that. So I resorted to track and field, and I was like, I'm actually pretty good at track. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I did really well, and I excelled really fast. And so I ended up competing and getting recruited by Wichita State University in Kansas. And I went there for 4 years.
Awesome. So you weren't just always a track and field athlete, but you played lots of different sports growing up. Me too. I loved doing all the different sports. I ended up skiing, but I definitely played soccer. I ran track and field too, but the farthest I got was states. So I had a little more work to do in that sport. So I stuck with skiing. So Deja, we have a question that is coming directly from our students. So Mrs. Stone's third grade class at Flower Bluff Elementary in Corpus Christi, hi everyone, would like to know what motivated you? And also there's a question that's really similar that came from, I want to try to pronounce this right, Miss Idalette's class in McCoy. They would like to know how you found the intrinsic motivation to persevere and give your best effort during difficult and challenging times. So talk a little bit about your motivation. Are you always motivated, or some days harder than others?
Oh my gosh, it is a roller coaster, up and down, and it's been so hard to stay motivated, especially during these uncertain times. But I always think about the bigger picture. You think about what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month. That's technically not the bigger picture. I think about what's going to happen 6 months from now, 9 months from now. So that's where like my long-term goals come into play. And so whenever I'm feeling like not motivated, I think about those big long-term goals that I have written down to help keep me motivated, because it's so hard. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, well, tomorrow I don't feel like doing this because I don't feel motivated, but it's not about tomorrow's goal. It's about the long-term goal. So I always look at the bigger picture. Even during my challenging times, I've gone through so many different challenges, and I always look at the bigger picture. I'm like, hey, I'm here right now, but I won't be here 6 months to a year from now. So that's always what keeps me motivated.
Yeah, got it. I totally agree. A lot of the students are working on the character trait of perseverance this week. So Flower Bluff, I see that you guys are here, and you guys had a question as well about perseverance. So Deja, do you specifically use self-talk at all? What if you're I would say in the gate as a skier, but in the start, what do you call it?
Start line. You're right there.
If you're on the start line, let's say you're on the start line and something is not perfect. Can you give us an example of that, and maybe give some of the kids some things that they can do if they're facing a challenge, maybe going into a test, or if they're trying to qualify for a sports team or something like that as well?
Self-talk is so incredibly important, because the way you speak to yourself is how you are viewing yourself and how others are going to view you. So if you're going to talk down on yourself, then other people are going to talk down on you as well. Even if you're joking, I always tell people, however you speak to yourself, sometimes your soul doesn't know the difference. It doesn't know the difference. So even if you're just joking, like, oh, I'm so dumb, or I suck, your mind does not know the difference. So don't do that. I mean, it's okay to joke around, but like, oh, okay, I didn't get it this time. That's okay to say. When I'm on the line at the start line, I was going through a very challenging moment in 2019. I had just broken the world record in a prelim, and I still had a final to go. And my self-talk was like, you know what? Okay, you did it the first time. Let's see if you can do it the second time. If you don't do it the second time, it's okay, because you did all the training that you were supposed to do. You've done everything up to this point. Whatever you've done to this point has paid off, and now it's time for me to have fun. And I did exactly that. I may not have gotten first. I got second. I'm still on podium. But it's really important to know that once you give your all, you shouldn't be disappointed. Even if you don't make it or don't get the goal that you wanted, as long as you're giving it your all, you still succeeded and you're still first in your own mind.
Yeah, totally agree. And there's one thing that you said in there that I love, and it's that you did the work, right? Like, you were totally prepared when you're standing on that starting line. I got it this time. You were totally prepared, right? So it's not just standing on the starting line and saying, I can do this, but it's knowing that you've put in the work in order to do it, or in order to know that you can do it too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we have another question from one of our classrooms. This is from Mrs. Stone's third grade class at Flower Bluff as well in Corpus Christi. Mrs. Stone's third graders want to know, who are some people that you looked up to? So you're a mentor with Classroom Champions. Maybe you can tell some of the students a little bit about being a mentor as well, and then let them know some people that were mentors to you growing up.
Awesome. So growing up, I had a couple mentors, and one of them was my coach in high school, Coach Holland, and he was absolutely amazing. I was bullied a lot in high school, and I tried to quit every single day. I literally tried to quit, and he was like, "No, not happening." He pushed me. He made sure I was taken care of. He made sure that to let me know that, hey, you're doing everything that you're supposed to do. He, at one point, I didn't believe in myself at all. And he believed in me more than I believed in myself. And that's what got me to where I needed to be as a college athlete. And he just really took me to that next level, even though sometimes I felt like I wasn't doing enough, or I just wasn't good enough, or I wasn't competing well. He always made sure that I was always known that I believe in you. You should believe in yourself. We're going to get through this together, not just by yourself, even though I'm on the start line by myself. And so that was one of my biggest mentors in school. He is extremely helpful and great, and I will forever be grateful for that relationship. And I still stay in contact with him today, and he's absolutely amazing. And so being a mentor to you guys has been very helpful, because sometimes I think, hey, if I had another mentor, or if I needed something else, I try to be that to you guys, what I didn't have when I was younger. So when I was growing up in like middle school and elementary school, I didn't really have a mentor, anyone to like look up to, which was really difficult and challenging. So I try to give you guys what I thought that I needed, and what you guys could need, especially during this time. It's really hard. I know COVID's been really hard for everyone. So trying to be that mentor for you guys is so, so important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, two questions related to what you just said. One, you said you were bullied a bit when you were younger. Can you talk more about that and how you dealt with that? What you did to get through that? Maybe even what you did if you saw other people getting bullied as well, because that's a big thing in school these days.
So my parents always raised me to always tell me, hey, Deja, you're not different. You're just like everyone else. And that's what really like stuck with me until I got into school and I started getting bullied. I was like, why are people picking on me? I don't understand. Until I realized, like, oh, I do stand out. There is something different about me. And I internalized that a lot. I just didn't say anything about it. I ignored it. And finally, I started talking about it, and that helps so much. Once I started talking to my parents and my siblings about it, it really helps. So talking about your emotions and really expressing how you feel is so incredibly important, because when you internalize it, you're just doing more harm than good. It's okay to talk about how you feel, because they're valid and they're very important. You're seen and you're heard. It's so incredibly important. And when I saw the people getting bullied, I would get upset. I'm like, no, it's stand up, say something. Or if you see someone getting bullied and you want to stand up to the bullies, just say, hey, that's not right. Or the person who's getting bullied, invite them to come sit with your table or with your group of friends and make them feel welcomed, because you never know what kind of hard time that person's going through. And you kind of give them, I guess you can't give people hugs these days. You can kind of just give them that group, that little air hug, and kind of just bring them in and support them, because I know that stepping up is really, really important. Don't be a bystander. Even though it's hard, it takes a lot of courage for you guys to step up to bullies.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to go to the comments. So we have a question from Miss Youngberg's class. Delaney and James would like to know how long you've played sports and how does your arm affect your performance?
So I've played sports my entire life. So after my surgeries, I had three surgeries. I had a muscle replacement, a nerve replacement, and a plastic surgery before the age of 6. And so my doctors basically just told my parents, hey, put her in sports, let her be a kid. That'll be her rehab. And so I've played a wide range of sports: basketball, soccer, tennis, like you name it, I've probably played it. And so I've played sports for, I guess we'd say 10 plus years. It's been my entire life. I'm very competitive. My family's very competitive. And so the way my arm affects me, so you see how your arm can go here? My right arm can't go there. It crosses my body here. There is literally no science, no way for my arm to go here. So it just crosses my body. And people really don't notice it. If I have a sweatshirt on like I do now, or I'm just walking around, people are like, I can't tell that you have a disability. Like, what is it? And I'm like, I technically don't have a disability, because there's ability and disability. But you can't tell until I run, and it's noticeable, but I make it work.
You definitely make it work. And with that being said, I'm actually going to go to the comments again to the next question, because you make it work so much that you have 2 Paralympic gold medals. How do you feel? This is from Corey Horton. How do you feel about winning the 100 and 200 meter race and medals?
Great question, Coy. At first, it felt like a dream. I was just like, one day I was sitting in my apartment in Kansas, training just in college, a normal student athlete, and to the next moment to being a Team USA athlete who is #1 in the world. And it still doesn't feel well. Every time I think about it or look back at the pictures, it's just like a surreal moment. And it's something that I'm very prideful of. And no matter what happens this year with the 2021 Olympics in Tokyo or Paralympics in Tokyo, I'm happy that I was able to make my mark in 2016. And it's just, again, it's one of those unremarkable like feelings.
Well, we're very, very proud of you as well. That's for sure. We're so thankful to have you as a mentor for Classroom Champions. Speaking of Tokyo, there's been some uncertainty, and there's been some uncertainty in the world. So I'm sure that our students who are watching have felt that uncertainty, whether it's at home or in school or just, not knowing when things are going to get back to normal. How have you dealt with that uncertainty with the Paralympic Games being postponed by a year? And how have you managed that?
I don't know if this sounds bad or not, but I try not to think about it too much, because if you dwell in it, you get lost in a rabbit hole. Like, I think yesterday I got lost in a rabbit hole of seeing if the games were going to be canceled or not. And I was it was just a consistent rabbit hole, and it got darker and deeper and deeper. So I try to think of it as day by day. I try not to think too far ahead. It's funny because I try to schedule things out. I think Emily even knows this. I try to schedule things out only a week ahead of a time. If it's something really important, I'll schedule it out a month ahead of time, but I only go week by week because it's too hard to try to think of something 2-3 weeks from now, because something can change. So that's how I've dealt with it, taking it day by day and enjoying each day and each moment. So if it means me getting up at 6 a.m. and going to the gym, I'm going to enjoy that moment right then and there and be like, this is so much fun. I'm happy. This is my time. I'm enjoying it. So enjoying those small things. So if you're in school and it's a math lesson or you have to read or something that you're doing, try to enjoy it in that moment. Like, hey, I'm learning right now. I'm enjoying this moment, and just enjoy those simple, small moments, because that'll help you get to that bigger picture later on.
Absolutely. As an athlete, I always had the motto, win. And it's different than you think. It was what's important now. And that had me, be able to stay in the moment and really focus on what was important in that moment. So I always thought of that. Perfect answer. Thank you. Okay. So we have some more questions coming in. Laura Ford, Miss Ford at McCoy Elementary. Let's see, says, even when times are dark, how did you find the strength to persevere? That is a great question. Where did you find that strength?
So it's really, I've had some very dark times in my career. It hasn't always been rainbows and butterflies, unfortunately. I was in a really bad car accident in 2016 after the games. So literally 2 months after standing on a podium, I was in a car accident, and I was on bed rest. I couldn't compete. I couldn't do anything. And it was like one of those dark times of like, man, I was just on top of the world, literally on top of the world. And now I'm like at the bottom of the barrel now. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's making that decision of, where do you want to be? And are you going to live in that now? Or are you going to look forward to that future? Yes, we just talked about, hey, like everything's important. What's important in that now? But when it comes to those dark times, you don't want to just sit there in that now. You want to think about, okay, I'm literally not going to be on bed rest 6 months from now. So what am I going to do to make sure that I'm in my best 6 months from now? So that's what really helped me persevere through my dark times. Even when I've struggled now, it's like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this now. I'm going to see what I can do. But 6 months from now, how am I going to be the best? And that's how I persevere through most of my dark times.
Great answer. I mean, training can look different from moment to moment, whether you're on the track, whether you're, inside working out by yourself because, there's a pandemic going on, whether you're on bed rest after a car accident. Training and life looks different in different moments. So, okay, we have questions coming in all over the place. I'm gonna pop down to, do you have any pets?
Yes, I do. So I have a dog, and his name is Dawson. And actually, my other dog is here. My Dawson is with my mom. So my mom took him from me because she loves him. And then my other dog, Prim, she's here somewhere.
I think someone saw. Yep, there we go. they could see your dog's tail. Do you run with your dog?
Yeah, she runs up to 2 miles. So you want to say hi? Come here.
Oh yeah, we want to say hi for sure.
Look. You want to say hi?
Oh, hi.
Say hi. You want to look.
Oh, she is so cute. What a lover.
I'm sorry. Get down there. Thank you.
She's very cute. So along with that question, someone was wondering how fast is your mile?
My mile time right now, I'm trying to break 7, or I'm trying to break 6. So I run 7:14 right now, and my coach is a middle distance runner, so every warm up is a mile. So every time I try to do a mile during my warm up, I try to break it, but I haven't so far. So I'm still trying to work on that.
All right, I love it. Do you train the mile very often, or are you usually sprinting?
I'm usually sprinting, but when it comes to our conditioning, he wants us to get in shape faster, and that will put you into shape really fast. So.
Absolutely. Definitely. All right. Ian would like to say, from McCoy Elementary, would like to know how many races you've been in. Do you know? I bet it's a lot.
Ooh, that's a lot. Professionally, I don't really know because I'm always all over the place. And yeah, I have no idea. I would say it's been about over 30, including college and professional.
Yeah, that's a lot. And have you ever had to play when you're in pain? That came from CJ.
I have a story for that. So, my college, we host this really big pre-state meet every year for high school students, and it's like a 3-day long event, and they usually have us athletes work the event. And so I was working javelin, and I was clearing out the javelin field. And me being the person I am, not really paying attention, I picked up a backpack with my right arm, the one that I have brachial plexus in, and I just yanked it up, but they were implements in there. So it was about 60 pounds of implements in that one backpack, and I dislocated my shoulder. And so they popped it back in place, taped it up, strapped it to my body, and I had to compete in all of my events, including the 4x4, and yeah. Sucked, but it happened, and it's a great story to tell.
How did you do that? Where did you find the did it hurt the whole time? What was going through your mind?
I think the adrenaline had kicked in at one point, and I was just like, I don't feel it anymore. I'm just gonna do it and not think about it. So I just didn't think about it, and then the next day I was like, why is my arm purple and it hurts so bad? And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I competed at the dislocated shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Well, I love this question from Arjun that just came in from McCoy as well. Has your arm stopped you from another sport you love and wanted to do?
So at one point, I really wanted to play basketball. I had to dribble and run at the same time, but I wanted to play really bad. And I did tryouts. I could not. One part of the tryout, we had to do layups from the left side and the right side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm left-hand dominant, and I don't really use my right arm for very much. And so it was really hard for me to do it with my right arm, and it was really hard for me to make a layup with my right arm. And so when the team roster came out, it didn't say my name. I cried. I was so upset. And there were comments made like, well, you probably didn't make it because of your arm. And it was so heartbreaking and so upsetting. And the coaches felt so bad. And they're like, oh, well, we can still put you on the team. I was like, no, if I didn't earn it, it's okay. But it still just like kind of sucked because I felt like maybe if I didn't have the disability in my right arm, I probably would have made the basketball team. But I mean, hey, it's okay. I wasn't meant to be a basketball player, clearly. And track and field has found a way to my heart.
I wasn't going to be a basketball player either at 5'3". But it led me to skiing, to not be playing things like basketball. Absolutely. All right. Are all of the medals in the background yours?
Okay. So I'm going to be honest. My fiance's brother is actually a triple jumper for Team USA. So these are all of his medals. It was just a nice background, so I'm just borrowing them for my background.
But do you have some medals to show us?
I do. So I have So I have my 2016 Paralympic medal. Then I also have my favorite medal that I got in 2019. It's really cool. And it came with a really cool gift. So here's the box that it came in. It's supposed to represent a seed from Rio where they have there, because its seed is like for growth. That was like kind of their thing. And then it like curves open like that.
Ooh.
And I just dropped it.
Sorry. I'm sure it's not the first time.
And the top comes off and everything. So yeah, and that's that. And then you can kind of see it. There you are.
Beautiful. So that one's your favorite?
No, so this is from Rio, and this is like Braille, and then it rattles. There's seeds inside of there as well.
So, I heard this story, and I don't know if it's true. Do the different colors sound different
Yes.
for
So
those who are visually impaired? That's very cool.
you can hear it. And so here's my favorite medal, and it's from
Okay.
Lima. It's from Lima, and it came in this really cute bag, and it came with a really cute little mascot sculpture. Let's see if I can get it out. Okay, cool. So it came with like a really cute like sculpture. It's super cute. It was their mascot for like Lima.
Adorable.
And it came in a really cute bag, which I love. And then it looks. This is from Lima, and this is from Machu Picchu.
Wow.
And it also has Braille. And yeah,
Beautiful.
that's my favorite one from 2019.
I love it. I love it. All right, I'm going to go back to some of the questions from our students. So, Brady would like to know at what age you were really into sports?
I would say like 13, 14, I was really into all of my sports. I would literally, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would leave track practice and go straight to softball practice. And I lived for that. I loved it so much. It was like one of my favorite things to do. And even now as an adult, I still love doing sports. If I have time or do recreational sports, I will, even though my coach hates it. I love baseball. I love just, like, again, my family's very competitive. So we're always constantly throwing out different sports to play with each other.
Oh, awesome. I have another question here from Tanae. I believe that's how I pronounce your name. I'm sorry if I did it wrong. Have you ever made any friends during competition? I mean, that was one of my favorite things about traveling the world, was all the cool people that you get to meet, all the different people you get to meet. So talk to us about that.
Absolutely. Oh my God, I love making friends. I always say making friends as an adult is really hard, but since I'm playing sports, it's so much fun. Some of my closest friends, one of my good friends is from South Africa. She is absolutely amazing. She's the sweetest, kindest soul I've ever met. She's always like, hey, can you braid my hair before I compete? I'm like, absolutely. And people are like, braiding your competition's hair. I'm like, yes, she's so nice. And there's a couple other friends I have from Japan, and I have a few friends who are from Peru, and one friend from Poland. And even though there's language barriers, we all can kind of tell that we care about each other, and we try to make it work. So when we're talking to each other, or if we see each other at the practice track, we'll stop and have like a conversation through Google Translate or something, so that we can at least ask how we're doing and like what we've been up to. And we all follow each other on social media, so it's always super fun to like see how they're doing.
Oh, that's awesome. And I mean, laughter and smiles and such, that you don't need language for that, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, let's see. Who else do I have here? I have Rianne and McCoy. You just want to say hi to that student. And let's see. I have time for probably 2 more questions. Let's take a look here. I have a whole lot left, but I'm sure Deja is going to be willing to answer some of your questions afterwards as well. Have you been able to race during the pandemic? I did want to ask you how the last couple months have been for you. And when's your next race? We can put those together.
Not to know. I don't know. A lot of my whole schedule is literally TBD, to be decided or to be announced. And if they do schedule something, it usually is canceled within like the next like 2 weeks. So it's just kind of like up and down. So I've been just doing a lot of training, and I know Chula Vista Elite Athlete Training Center, which I used to live out in California. I'm going to go back there in a couple months and train out there and do some time trials, but nothing official. It's been really hard trying to figure out what competition looks like and what competing looks like. But I keep seeing like the Europeans just canceled their indoor world championships, and that's huge for them. So it's a big qualifying event. And so we're kind of just riding the wave. I'm just going to see where the wave takes me. I'm enjoying training right now. I'm having fun. So I'm just going to keep doing that and not really think about competing at the moment.
That sounds like a good plan right now. So we had a question that was emailed into us earlier, so I want to make sure that I get it. It's from Miss John's 4th grade class at McCoy, and they would like to know how hard it is to live in the real world with your disability. So not necessarily related to track, but just everyday life.
So I really haven't had many problems. Like I said, my parents, I never really knew I had a disability until I got older. I was like, you guys didn't tell me the truth. You guys told me this fib, and I was very upset about it. I was very angsty about it. But then I realized, like, okay, cool. But I really didn't have as many problems. And that's something I'm a huge advocate about. I work with the U.S. Embassy as well, and with children with disabilities, and with specifically Nigeria and their laws with people with disabilities, and trying to figure out how can we just make it equal across all boards for everyone. And I take passion in speaking up for those who do have disabilities, and trying to make sure that everyone has an equal playing field in real life and in sport.
I love it. All right. Well, we are just about at the end of our time with you, Deja. I want to be respectful of your time and everybody's time at home who's watching and in school. But I do want to ask you one more question. What is the last thing or something that you really want to make sure that the students watching know about the skills that it takes to be successful, to be where you are today?
Oh, that's a really good one. I think really important I want you to know is that you're capable of doing anything you put your mind to. And the only person who can really stop you from doing something that you really want to succeed at is yourself. So once you tell yourself you cannot succeed at something, you're most likely not going to succeed at it, because you're one, your biggest critic, and two, you're your biggest competition. So continue to with that positive self-talk, continue to practice those skills and talk about your emotions, and make sure that you're loving yourself and being kind to yourself, so you can be kind to others and help others be successful as well.
Absolutely. Well, Deja, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. We are just about out of time, everyone, but if you want to learn more about Deja, and if you want to learn more about Classroom Champions, you can always go to classroomchampions.org. We have some info about her there. And Deja, I think you have some pretty fun videos also at teach.classroomchampions.org. So you guys can reach out to me if you are unsure of how to find that. But thank you, everybody. We so appreciate you being with us today. And Deja, thanks. It was so fun.
Guys, it was
Thanks,
so much
everybody.
fun.
See you.